This program is brought to you by L'Oreal, because you're worth it. I am your host, Scott Ullman, and we are back with WoW. That's interesting. I am here with the brilliant scientist Sam Liddell on his most recent study in the WoW world. Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. Please tell me, what was this study about?
So the focus of my study was to see where quests actually fell in WoW as a whole for players.
Okay.
So how do quests motivate players to play WoW? How are they involved? What is their involvement? Are they the driving force in their involvement? Are they a side factor that no one's really concerned about? And it's not particularly clear when reading other studies. It's not particularly clear when even talking to other players. So I thought it needed some more in-depth analysis on, where does this seemingly central aspect, I mean, it's a game where you log in as a fancy world character and prance around in fantasy land doing quests. So why do they matter?
Wow, that is a noble reason to do the study. Thank you.
It was a noble study.
Thank you. So, how did you go about it today? What did you do? What did you do for the study?
So, first, we decided that our study should approach the subject of quests from several angles. So, the first place we went was to our established group of gamers, and we did personal one-on-one interviews with them. The goal of these interviews was to establish for these 5 individual players the specific role of quests in WoW. And some of them were maximum level, they played all the time. Some of them were, level 5, level 6. And then, we had 1 beginner player, 1 intermediate player, and 3 advanced players. 2 that have not played WoW super recently, 1 that plays every day. So we kind of got their opinions. We kind of figured out how they felt about it. Then the second step was to observe WoW, to look at the game's construction and see how the quests are actually constructed. So the way I went about this was to create a night elf hunter and go through the beginning quests and mark down, for example, who the quest is for, what are you doing in the quest, are you killing, are you looting, and then is it a cascading quest, does it go on to another quest? The third aspect is taking results from a survey with questions by me and my colleagues regarding WoW as a whole, and only certain questions were analyzed in regards to my studies, but these questions included what motivates you to play the game, what do you spend your time doing now, what do you read when you're presented a quest, do you read everything, do you just read some things? And and these questions could help figure out what the community as a whole felt about the game. Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So what did you eventually, what did you find from all of your research?
So there's no clear, we can't make any conclusions from what I found particularly, but we can start to see patterns. And first of all, let's talk about the observations first. Most quests in the beginning of the game cascade. So that being established, we know that players are trying to be led from one objective to another through a series of cascading quests.
Okay.
Another thing that we can see is that players that are motivated, this is from the survey, even players that are motivated by being immersed in the game, players that are motivated by immersion, being immersed in the game and role playing, like quests more, but they still don't like quests more than other game aspects. They don't like the quests. It became evident that they wanted to play to talk to their friends, to have the jargon of World of Warcraft, but they're not playing for the quests. Same with people that are achieving. They want to achieve in World of Warcraft, but they don't want to do these quests. They don't want to run through these quests. So,
Okay.
and then the interviews seem to indicate the same thing. People didn't want to run through quests per se. They wanted to play the game for other aspects, and quests could play a part in that. They could do other things while they did the quests, but they weren't playing to complete the quests.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to do that. That's impressive. Was any of this surprising? Were you expecting this?
Not necessarily. When I thought about World of Warcraft, when I think about World of Warcraft, I think about you completing quests. So it is surprising, and I wasn't expecting it. That really you're not playing to complete the quests. You're completing the quests because you want money. You're completing the quests because you want to level up. But you're not completing quests because you like completing quests. And I think that that's something that you can take away as maybe it would be interesting for the WoW developers to see how could you make the game so that people are going to want to complete your quests so that they're enjoyable and fun. No one I interviewed thought quests were fun. They all had come to terms that they had to do them. They could all remember things that they liked when doing quests, but they liked doing quests with a friend, or the rewards from a quest, or a goofy quest storyline, but that doesn't influence the gameplay of the quest. It was still boring. So how could quests be implemented as an enjoyable part of the game? Would be an interesting thing, and it did surprise me. No one wants to do these.
I mean, that's a very interesting point. I mean, even the few times I've played WoW, even though I host a WoW show, I've only played like 2 times.
Understandable.
Yeah, and every time, I mean, like, I do the quests maybe for the sake of accomplishment rather than for the sake of enjoying it.
Yeah, and that's what people seem to. That's what the survey and the interview seemed to indicate. That people didn't really enjoy doing them. They would do them. They would keep doing them, but they didn't enjoy doing them.
So you could say there weren't really many conclusions to this. You just found some patterns, but you think there's people to study with this?
We can't conclude anything, but what I can say is that, I mean, mathematically, from our survey, we found that those interested in achievement and socializing were less interested in quests than those with completing quests, than those interested in immersion. And the survey also indicates that people mostly wanted to complete quests for monetary gain and experience gain. They didn't want to do it, but we can't conclude anything. But we can find a pattern in the game, and that could in the future be traced more accurately.
Okay. So were there any problems with your say? Like, what would someone say
Dailies.
to put against your study?
Dailies.
Dailies?
We didn't look at dailies. There are quests at the start of the game, and the quests leading, there's the same quest structure throughout the game, but then I didn't look at dailies. So daily quests, do people like those? Do people like completing those? One of my interviewees indicated that he was just doing them for money, but I don't know. I don't know what their structure is like, so I can't really. The patterns I saw might not apply to dailies as a construct in the game. It would be good to interview many more people than 5, but 5's a start, and we surveyed many. Again, it would be ideal to interview and survey everybody, but you can't do that. And it would be ideal to observe the whole game, and it's possible, but it would take a fair amount of time, and my study was a relatively short study, so you can just broaden everything I've done, and you should look at dailies. If I was to go back and revise it, I would look at the daily quests.
Well, I could say that your study was a great start and very eye-opening to a lot of people in the WoW
Including
community.
you.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I never realized. I mean,
And you still don't.
I still don't. I'll be honest. That is, whoa. Well, I think that's all we have time for. Sam, thank you so much.
No, okay. Let's do it.
Sorry, I'm ready. Thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Everyone, round of applause for Sam. Clap track is broken. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Have a good day. And we'll see you next week when we invite a WoW player who really believes he's a warlord. We'll be right back.